Welcome to Fortune Forecast. You are in my book playlist. In this video, we continue on with the book titled Dynamic Thought by Henry Thomas Hamblin. Before I continue, I would like to send a big thank you to all of you who have found this channel and subscribed. Thank you for joining this community. It shows me that there are people like me searching for either information, knowledge, wisdom that help us find that deeper connection with life, that deeper way to understand how we can make our lives better. But for me, mostly, I am so excited about this community that we are finding each other and that we are taking each other along the journey wherever that may take us. And I am eager to join you in the exploration. If you're ready to move on to the next chapter, please go to the description and click on the timestamp. I'm going to linger on here for a minute or so to share my narrator's comment for the last chapter, in which the author touched upon topics of what I would call, in today's time, energy healing, Reiki, hypnotism, just to mention a few. I would have to say, though, that it is easier for you and I to have these conversations during this time in our lives versus previous eras of the past where any type of conversation might have been called a taboo or heresy. So it appears that in the early 1900s, according to the author, Dr. Abrams discovered the energy of thought and measured it by the use of an instrument called the biodynamometer. In those findings and reports, Dr. Abrams indicated that the emotions of anger yielded an energy which produced an effect at a distance of 80 feet. And he also mentioned at that time that he had identified 3 great energy centers in the human body, located in the left side of the brain, the right side of the brain, and also in the fingertips. Now, I can either fast forward to the present, where it is not uncommon for many of us to have already become familiar with the term Reiki, which is a form of Japanese healing practiced by the Buddhists and rediscovered in Japan. It is known as a modality practiced in healing. Or I can now take you along and we can time travel to the past during the days of Jesus, where in the book of John, chapter 14, verse 12, it is stated, "I tell you the truth. Anyone who has faith in me can do the same miracles I have done, and even greater things than these will you do." And then it is documented in the New Testament of all the healing works that Jesus did using his hands to heal so many other, like in the book of Mark, chapter 8, verse 22, Jesus uses his hands to heal a blind man. In the book of Matthew, chapter 8, verse 14, Jesus uses touch to heal Peter's mother-in-law of a fever. And not only that, but in the book of Luke, chapter 4, verse 40, where it's stated, when the sun was setting, the people brought to Jesus all who had various kinds of sickness, and laying his hand on each one, he healed them. Now, we don't know, and it's not very clear if Jesus actually went somewhere to learn this healing, because there's a gap. There's between the age of 12 and 30, and it's not mentioned what happened, where did he go, but it has been somewhat suggested that Jesus traveled to the east, where he was schooled in much of the mystic teachings of India, Tibet, and China. And so, when he began his ministry, Jesus then only taught a select few, his apostles. And as for myself, I believe in the works of Jesus, and I do believe in a supreme God and creator. So this could be a mystery to some and easily accepted by others, but it could have been that God has given this gift, or the Holy Spirit descended upon Jesus, giving him these abilities from birth. Nonetheless, we do come into a time where, just as the apostles, to learn these or to have these gifts awakened and show us how to specifically use them. And seems that still today, we would like to reawaken these gifts, as to some of us, we believe they are our birthright. Clearly, through the teachings of Jesus, we were told that we could do greater things. What a great inspiration. And that brings me back to the book, Dynamic Thought, As the author then mentioned other types of mental powers, the use of hypnotism. And here again, he brings in the idea that we need to really understand the power and the way that we use these mental powers, because science has taken us into new realms such as hypnotism and accessing these mental powers. So it would be true when I hear some people say, well, what about sorcery and witchcraft and all these things? Nonetheless, it is these powers being used for manipulation and personal use. I do not believe that anything should be used to harm another person, because it will come back at you. While we can live in the fantasy land that all is good, we need to be aware and protect ourselves that at any moment, just like that drip of water can actually eventually through time destroy and crack a stone, if we have these darker thoughts being pushed on us, whether it's, pushing you to smoke, to drink, to have impure thoughts, eventually anyone can crack under certain circumstances. So why not take this knowledge so that you can build a fort of good, a kingdom of heaven within your own mind? And I say this from personal experience, because if you tend to be a person that is very positive and then are in a relationship with someone that is not very positive, or gets discouraged and disappointed with every attempt they make that does not yield a positive result or the result they wanted, but it's important to bring in the good energy. Love is the one that unifies. It is the great unifier. And to help that person see the perspective that, hey, at least now you know one more thing that does not work. And if you keep at it, you will discover the one that does. The author, Henry Thomas Hamblin, mentions that all the universe in all its planes is ruled by the law of attraction. And I've noticed that whether you're in science or you're in religion, there's just sometimes different words used to mean the same thing. But it comes down to the basic that everything works according to this law. And it is because what he mentioned, like creates like attracts like. So you have an apple, will make an apple seed inside. When you put it in the ground, you're going to have an apple tree. And so if your thoughts are of high and pure intention, then you will have a yield of the same. If you are sitting there sulking with vile and dark thoughts of failure, well, you will be attracted to those thoughts of that same character. And I like to use the word spirit, because sometimes spirit is something that you can't touch, but sometimes the spirit of Christmas, the spirit of this. So in the spirit of things, we can bring or attract much of what we want. So if you think success, then you're going to have thousands of invisible forces come to your aid. And if you think of failure, well, the same law applies. You will have more of that in your life. And unfortunately, that which you think upon is what your eyes are going to reflect back out, and therefore that is what you're going to see more of. Now here's a cute little story. My husband and I, we were out in front of the garden. He was watering, and I was just walking around with my camera taking pictures of flowers and butterflies. As I walked past him, he says, "Well, did you see that, trailer there with the boat?" And I said, "No, I was taking pictures of flowers." And he goes, "Well, that's the second time they've been there." And so it's funny because he's always monitoring whether there's too many trucks on our road or too many cars. And I'm monitoring how many flocks of birds fly through the sky and butterflies and birds. And so what we focus on is what we're going to notice most of. I know that's just a normal everyday story. I wanted to share that with you because what you want to see, you will see. And with that, I will turn the page to part 8. There has been a lot of nonsense written and spoken about the law of attraction. People have been solemnly taught that all they need to do is to adopt a certain mental attitude, think thoughts of success and abundance, and then to sit and wait for abundance of all good things to drop from the skies at their feet. The folly of it is seen when we find that these teachers of abundance and opulence have themselves to work for a living by teaching the very thing which, if true, would save them from all necessity of working. Supposing it were true, then what is possible for one would be possible for all. And if all adopted this method of getting a living, then who would till the soil or make our clothes? Would everything we need come from the skies? Even if these were true and man could draw all that he needed by the power of thought from the blue vault of heaven, then no one would have anything to do. Life would become stagnant, and the race would perish from inaction. Life is action, and if a man ceases to work, he at once begins to disintegrate and soon requires 6 feet of earth wherein to cover his bones. When businessmen retire, they quickly die, and those who, being born with riches, have no necessity to work for a living, have to find work and interests of some sort in order to prevent themselves from mental and physical decay. There is no such thing as getting something for nothing. The principle of square deal runs right through life and the universe. A businessman who tries to get something for nothing, who, in other words, fails to give value for money, finally finds himself without a customer. Those who try to evade this law by creating trusts and combines will find that their ill-gotten gains will be confiscated by a power greater than themselves. The square deal, reasonable profits, fair wages, honest, straightforward business integrity, all these will succeed and continue to succeed as long as there remain people to do business with. But the ring, or combine, or trust, squeezing its swollen, dishonest profits out of the life and blood of the common people, can only do business so long as the community allows them to. All who read history know what has been the fate of tyrants in the past, and there is no reason for believing that the profiteers and extortioners of the present day will fare any better. Even if, however, a man can filch a fortune by unfair means, i.e., by not giving good value for money, by extortion or profiteering, he will lose in one direction exactly in proportion to that which he gains in another. Let him make a fortune by sharp practice. Let him snap his fingers and sneer at integrity and honor and universal law. Let him rejoice at what he has done. Let him think himself a fine, clever fellow. Nevertheless, nemesis awaits him. He will lose in love, peace of mind, happiness, and health in exact proportion to his dishonest gain. He makes money, granted, but he loses that which money cannot buy. The writer has known men to be happy until they became wealthy. Then they became, of all men, the most miserable. He has known them to be healthy while they were comparatively poor and full of sickness and trouble when they became passing rich. There is a law of compensation running through life and the universe, and you cannot avoid it. If you are to succeed, you must work and accomplish. If you are to receive the riches of the world, you must give your best in exchange. Then give to the world the best you have, and the best will come back to you. This is where the law of attraction operates, not by your sitting still and expecting the impossible to happen, but by the giving in faith and confidence of your best efforts to the world. By calling upon your hidden powers and by creating powerful thoughts, you attract to yourself armies of thoughts of a similar kind, which passing into your subconscious mind are translated into action of the highest type, the type that glories in achievement and that wins success. Thus, if you give your best to the world, then in the form of a rich and abundant success, the best will come back to you. These people who expect to be successful without working for it take, many of them, great comfort from John Burroughs' famous poem, the first verse of which is as follows. Serene, I fold my hands and wane, no care for wind or tide or sea. I rave no more 'gainst time or fate, for lo, my own shall come to me. Never was a sublime truth more perfectly expressed, but its meaning is the exact opposite to that which the no work people attach to it. It does not mean that we can literally sit and think without effort good things into our lap. Instead, it describes the mental attitude of the man of faith, the man who believes he can succeed. Having adjusted his mind to the correct attitude, he is serene and calm, knowing that his efforts in the objective world of effort will be successful, owing to his mental world being in tune with all the higher cosmic forces. These words, therefore, represent the mental attitude of a well-poised, confident man and have no connection with his physical life. Such a man, owing to his mind being at peace, is always capable of the best and highest effort. It is those whose minds are at rest who work the best. Therefore, those who think that they can become successful without translating their thoughts into actions are deluding themselves. Note the last line of the verse, "For lo, my own shall come to me." What is meant by my own? Obviously, your own can only be that to which you are entitled. Therefore, your own can only be that which you have earned, are earning, or are going to earn by service to others. In other words, you have given, are giving, or will give your best to the world, and your own will be the best that comes back to you through the operation of the law of compensation. The principle of the square deal runs through all life and the universe. Should an artist conceive a picture and be content that it remains in his mind, can he rightly expect payment for his creation? Would it be right if payment were made to him for a picture that existed only in his imaginative mind? No, because he has not rendered any service to his fellows. He has not given value for money. Let him therefore put his picture on canvas and thus bring joy and refreshment to many, and for his service payment will be made, and the greater his conception, the greater will be the reward. Again, an engineer conceives a bridge. Shall he be deserving of payment if he keeps it in his mind? No. Let him transfer his mental image to paper and translate his drawings into actual steel and stone construction, and he will become a blessing to thousands. Then will he be worthy of the greatest rewards. Life demands of us a square deal, a fair exchange. If we are to receive, we must give. If we give, we shall receive. Do not believe for one moment that chicanery or sharp practice or underhand dealing or hiding of faults or taking advantage of other people's ignorance or weaknesses is going to lead to success, because it will not and cannot. I have known plenty of men splendidly equipped for the battle of life, brainy, resourceful, capable, and not lacking in courage, yet they have not succeeded simply because they were not straight. They were clever and plausible and could always do well at first interviews, but they could never keep their clients or customers because they failed to give honest service in exchange for honest money. This world is crying aloud for honest, straightforward, and sincere lawyers, doctors, businessmen, politicians, preachers, and teachers. It calls for men of integrity, men who live their lives according to a principle instead of being mere opportunists. For men who love honor and truth, for men who believe in the principle of square deal. The world wants men who will give of their very best, and upon such is willing to pour out its treasures in rich profusion. Principle and sincerity are more than ever needed today. Men who can be trusted, men on whom a nation, a world can rely. No great success is or ever can be possible without the quality of sincerity. No great achievement was ever won except by those to whom honor and principle were as the very breath of life. Look at the lives of all the truly great and successful ones that have ever lived, and we can only find sincerity of purpose, a giving of their very best service to the world. The extent of their sincerity was the measure of their greatness. They gave of their best, and greatness and immortality was their reward. You may not seek greatness, you may not desire to become an immortal. Your ideas of success may be but an increase of salary, a moderate fortune, or a well-paid position in your calling or profession. To be a great writer or politician or poet or philosopher or leader of men. To be one great enough in character to carve your name on the history of your time. All these may not interest you in the slightest degree, or, on the other hand, they may. But whatever your ambitions may be, low or high, mean or great, you can only realize it if you are sincere. To win success of any kind, you must be sincere. You must give of your very best. You must somehow find expression for that which is within you. As you come to conscious realization of the powers within you, you will have more to express. Therefore, your best will be constantly getting better, with the consequence that your reward will be greater. In other words, as you develop within, as you build up in the unseen, so in like manner will your power to achieve be manifested in your life, and success and prosperity be attracted to you. All this is dependent upon your giving freely. If you give grudgingly, you will receive but a scanty reward. If you give fully and freely of the best that is within you, you will reap a rich and abundant harvest. Give the best that is within you. How can I find words with which to express all that I mean? Give your best thoughts. Hold nothing back. Give your most faithful service. Do not spare yourself, for all the cosmic forces are yours. Give to the utmost of all the powers, the forces, the emotions, the inspirations that are within you. Do this, and you will never lack. The universe is not run by caprice or chance. Everything is according to law. The law of compensation is immutable. It can never be evaded. Whatsoever ye meet shall be measured to you again. These are scientific facts. Thus do we hold our lives and destinies in our own hands. We can give our best to the world, our best in service, in love, in devotion, in honesty, in faithfulness, in inspiration, in beauty, our best in all that we do or attempt to do. And back to us will come unerringly the highest good, the greatest joy, the best that life can offer. Or, on the other hand, we may give poor service, try to get what we do not deserve, endeavor by slimness, trickiness, and sharp practice to snatch an advantage at the expense of others, and in return we shall reap a harvest of trouble, disappointment, unhappiness, and failure. Then give to the world the best you have, and the best will come back to you. No longer can you offer the world the more or less imperfect service which has hitherto been the best that you could offer. Now are you entering into the fullness and glory of the vast powers of your subliminal mind. Now are you controlling an ever-growing stream of creative thoughts? Now are all these inward forces being translated into action, and that action can only be better service, better work, higher accomplishment, more abundant success that you ever have known before. Let imperfect work belong only to the past. The badly scrubbed doorstep, the mediocre poem, the commonplace picture, the half-hearted service in Parliament. Time, serving, man-pleasing, instead of working for a grand ideal. Let it all go. It belongs to yesterday, and yesterday is dead. It belongs to the imperfect past. Now you live in a more perfect present and press on to a still more perfect future. Mistakes and shortcomings of the past shall have no more dominion over you. In your hands is the key which opens up the way to all the freedom and accomplishment. From now onward, the new and wonderful life within you will well up with ever-increasing power and find expression in better work, in tasks more perfectly performed, in service more generously given, in more complete self-control. Leave the past and its failures. You have nothing to do either with it or them. Today is yours, and the future shall be according as you build today. This week's affirmation is, I give to the world the best I have, and the best comes back to me. Then visualize yourself giving the very highest and best service of which you are capable, and then picture the highest good coming back to you in return. Make this mental picture very real. It will have a great effect for good in your life. As a visualizing exercise, take a flower and picture its growth backwards from the full bloom right back to the planted seed. Actually see the whole process. Meditation. There is no need for me to anxiously snatch and grab, to hoard and scrape, to cheat and squeeze my fellow man. I do not have to run after success and fortune. Instead, they kneel down at my feet and pay me homage. I need stoop to no subterfuge, no low cunning, no doubtful methods, for everything I need is mine. All that I desire comes to me by the operation of natural law. I realize now that I am one with and form a part of the infinite mind. I realize that the infinite mind is everything there is, and that everything there is infinite mind. Therefore, as I am a part of the infinite mind, I too am all things, and all things are in me. Therefore, everything that I can possibly require, peace of mind and health of body, achievement of friends, love, prosperity, success, these are all mine. They hasten to minister to my eternal joy. I am a magnet. I attract to myself only the highest good. I am attuned only to the highest vibration of health, success, accomplishment, happiness. The lower vibrations of disease, failure, want, and unhappiness can find no echo in my mind, no manifestation in my life. I am in my inner, higher, better self, a radiant and sublime mental being, partaking of the nature of the infinite mind, of which I form a part, and in whom I live and move and have my being. I pour out unstintedly upon my fellows my best work and efforts, my richest thoughts and emotions. I give to the world the very best that is in me. Yet the more unselfishly I give, the more richly am I blessed. The more abundantly are life's choicest gifts showered upon me. Appendix. Give to the world the best you have, not merely your labor, your work, your earnest endeavor, but your inspiration, the very best that is in you. not only work in the usual sense of the word, not only labor by accomplishing your daily task better than ever before, but in addition, work mentally, work creatively, work along original lines. Strive to do something fresh, create something new, add something to the world's total sum of joy and happiness. This can only be done by spending your spare time not in frivolous pleasures, but in concentration in the silence. Still the outer mind and the senses, and then in the silence, listen to the still small voice of inspiration. Thus will you receive your messages, which will send you out into life with a glow of passionate desire in your heart. In this way will you conceive that invention which hitherto has eluded you. Only by this means will you be able to evolve the original idea which will make your life really successful and useful. Every time you lift your thoughts in higher things, you raise your mental vibrations and become more positive. Every time you let your mind dwell upon low thoughts, such as fear, worry, anxiety, failure, ill health, and other negative states and emotions, you become more negative. It is only by becoming more positive that you can succeed. It is only by raising the rate of your vibrations that you can eradicate disease and ill health. Therefore, always lift your thoughts to higher things. Keep raising them to your perfect world of reality, and by dwelling upon its perfect beauty, you will become more practical and successful in business, more loving at home, and more free from pain, sickness, and disease. Wishing you every success in your efforts. End of part 8. If you haven't done so, my dear one, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's head over to the next video where I will be there with part 9.